So in this video, I'm going to go over my morning. Now today, it is Saturday at about 9 a.m., February 3rd, 2024. I have had one of the worst mornings in a while. Part of it is our system is broken, so an old man can't get the care he needs. People are lying, I am sick, and a lot of these older people in their 80s act like children. They act like they have no responsibility. They make mistakes, but then they walk away from it. They drop a bottle of wine and they leave the store. They drop their colostomy bag and they leave the store. Something messes up and they just leave. I see it so much. For instance, my father. There's many times where my mother has done something to me, or a doctor has done something to me, or the school has done something to me, and instead of trying to fix me and fix the issue at hand and take responsibility that way, he tries to just recop looses or do what my roommate does, try to not take responsibility by leaving as soon as possible. And those are usually the avenues I see these older gentlemen taking, and really young people too, and random people in general. There's lots of people. But I've noticed that a lot of these 50 and 60-year-olds I see are totally different than the 80 and 90-year-olds. A lot of these 80-year-olds have this personality that they can just like not take responsibility. And I'll give the example from this morning. So this morning I woke up about 8 to take my meds. The meds didn't agree with my stomach because it was already upset. I vomited in a trash can dry heaving for a half an hour. While I was dry heaving, my roommate got up and dropped his colostomy bag while it's full, and it was blown out with about a whole liter or more of liquid feces with little chunks in it, and it splattered to about a 2 foot by 1 foot radius, bigger than half of your body, twice as wide as your body, and higher than half of your body length, all over. So then I wait, and what does he do? Does he try to clean it up right away? No, he goes to the bathroom, puts a new bag on, and tries to lay back down in bed. At this point, I get angry because I'm vomiting, but I can't do anything about it. So I have to wait for myself to stop vomiting. As soon as I stop vomiting, I tell him that has to be cleaned up. And that's now soaked into the sponge and the wood at the bottom because it was so liquidy. If you got it and soaked it up with like a towel or a sponge right away, then it wouldn't be that deep. But now you got a reeking, smelling shit. I'm vomiting, and now I can't stop because you filled the house with smell. You have a big, big, giant pile soaked into the wood, the foam, and the carpet with little chunks floating on top. And now all the liquid is gone because it's soaked deep. David, what are you going to do to fix this? He goes, it's an accident. I don't have to do anything. Accidents happen. I'm going back to bed. And that was what he thinks, and that's what my father thinks. It was an accident. I spilled my colostomy bag. It's a medical condition. So what? Leave me alone. I'm going back to sleep. I don't have to deal with this. And that's what people think. But here's the thing. It's okay to make a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. It's okay to be old and have your colostomy bag fall off. Nobody is saying that that's the problem. The problem is you made a mistake and now you're leaving somebody else to clean up your mess. And I've spent my whole life cleaning up my mother's mess, my father's mess, Dave's mess, my own mess, homeless people's mess. I even cleaned up a drug addict hooker. I got her off the hooking. Then I got her back with her family, and I convinced her family to do the rehab thing. And then about, 6 months to a year later, after I haven't seen her at all, she stops by, gives me a hug, and tells me I'm the only man that ever did something like that for her. And she thanks me, and she's totally sober. She looks so much better. I did lose out, though, because she was helping me financially a lot. But it was more important to me that she gets better than me get money. So, yeah. Anyway, so things like that. How are you going to clean this up? But people don't know how to clean up their own mess. They don't know how to call and apologize. They don't know how to try to go into rehab. They don't know how to call the landlord and get a carpet steamer. They don't know how to call the landlord and say, what should I do? They don't know how to take responsibility, so they curl up in a ball, or they go to the beach, or they go out to eat, and they leave the mess for other people to clean. And that's why we have a broken system today. Because if you keep on leaving messes for other people to clean, and nobody wants to clean it, then the mess stays. And so I'm still dealing with that. I've called the landlord. The landlord's on his way with a carpet steamer because it would either cut it up or carpet steam it. I'm going to have to pay him for it. Once again, part of cleaning up this mess is paying for the steamer. And my roommate's the one who made this mess. But yet I doubt he will ever chip in a dime to this carpet steamer. So once again, I'm paying to clean up somebody else's mess. On top of that, I'm trying to clean up the Social Security mess that my father and mother put together, and it's so crazy and so much discrepancies in it, and it's almost impossible for somebody in my situation with my tools to fix something like that. So I spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, as well as, I don't know, thousands and thousands of hours of my own time trying to just get the truth and the discrepancy fixed on my Social Security, make sure I can drive, make sure I can go to the doctor and get proper medical care. But I can't do any of those things until I clean up my mother's and father's mess. Just like how I can't get the smell out of my house until I clean up my roommate's mess. He spilt his colostomy bag, no big deal. But the fact that you're leaving your messes there for somebody else, the fact that you're leaving your poop just laying there to harden, that's wrong. And the reason why he doesn't care is he doesn't smell it. Everybody loves the smell of their own brand. If you don't know what that means, when you fart or if you have a stink that comes from your body, it doesn't bother the person it comes from, is what that means. So anyways, so I'm cleaning up all this guy's mess. But on top of that, I'm supposed to leave for work at 11:45. And I'm dealing with all this stuff instead. So after I deal with it, I tell him he needs to deal with the landlord when he gets here if I'm not still here, if he doesn't show up while I'm here. And he just gets a little mad and runs out the door. Now this pile is humongous. Actually, I'll try to show a quick picture, but there's a towel on it so the cat doesn't lick it or sleep. That's how big it is. It takes up the whole thing. And that's it. So I'm cleaning up that. I'm also cleaning up the house, trying to get ready, spraying the air, opening the windows, trying to do everything to the house as well as sanitizing. And I can't even get him to wash his hands. He needs to be in a home, but this is the most annoying part about it. A lot of these older people say that they're fine. No, I do everything on my own. I do everything. I'm fine. I do everything on my own. So they get labeled independent. Just like my roommate is. He's labeled independent. But he can't always dress himself properly. He can't use the bathroom properly. He doesn't eat for days if I don't cook meals and try to feed him. He doesn't pay his bills properly. He doesn't go out. He doesn't know how to handle mold. He does not know how to take care of himself anymore because he's weak and sick all the time. He says it. I'm old. I feel crappy. Leave me alone. Okay. That's fine. But you haven't eaten for 3 days and your poop is all over the place. So if you're sick, we need to call a doctor and we need to let somebody know that you're in this condition. No. You'll just clean it up for me. And this is the problem. They find people like their kids or homeless people on the streets that need a place to stay. They bring them into their home. These homeless people do everything for these old people, and then the old people will throw them out. Not me so much. I just know a lot of other people that were doing this. I was a caregiver, but the only difference between me is I had regulars. I had 5 regulars who I just kind of connected with. Some of the more heavy drug users, they would have like 20 different people jumping home to home, violent breakouts, just crazy stuff that I would hear. Just people would do crazy stuff. But anyways, yeah. So a lot of these elderly people like Joanna, or like Raymond, or like Dave, they don't speak up when they have a real heavy problem. Like Raymond had a hernia for about a year that ended up making it almost to his knees. The hernia was in his testicles and crotch, and it stretched so far with it, because he's very heavy set, that it actually almost reached his knees. And that was so scary. When he came out of that bathroom, because I knocked on the door, I said, "Is everything all right in there?" I cracked the door, and I got a peek, and I said, "Oh," I closed the door. I said, "Oh my God." So when he came out, I said to him, "You need to go to the hospital. I'm going to bring you right now." And he went. And I was able to get him the surgery he needed, and he doesn't have a hernia anymore. But these people also have a problem admitting that they have a problem. So they use other people up to make sure that that never gets labeled. And that's just how it is. So every single time I try to get David to explain these issues, that he's sick, the poop's everywhere, stuff like this, to the people that can help him with it, get him a home nurse or something, he refuses to go, he refuses to tell them, so they label him independent. So I am then left with two choices: either clean up this man's mess or leave the mess. Now, when I moved in here, I expected to do some of this, and I did, but it wasn't like this. As time goes by, he's getting used to doing this over and over, because he's realizing that nobody cares if he uses or abuses me. He just realized that about 4 years ago. See, he used to think my father, mother, brother, maybe one of my family would kick his ass or do something. He had that fear that if he fucked over me, then maybe there would be some consequences down the line. But after the 8 years of him doing horrible things and horrible things happening to me, like seizures on the side of the street, and then he hears nobody even calling me, or I get seriously hurt, or something seriously happens and nobody does anything, he realizes that I could get raped and stabbed and nobody would care. And because he has made this realization, he now knows he can leave anything how he wants, and I'm forced to clean it up. Because he realizes that there's nobody that's going to tell him to fucking stop but me. I'm the only person that's going to tell him to stop. Not the state, not a police officer, not my family. Nobody's ever going to be like, "You're doing something wrong." So he can say that he's doing everything right. He can say that I'm cleaning up everything. Then he can throw me under the bus all he wants, and nobody's going to care. Even if they know that he's a big liar, like Mark and multiple people who know him are, they know he likes to tell stories. Doesn't matter, because I have nobody who cares. When I had the seizure in Lowell, and I had a fracture in my head, and all that, and my father was my emergency contact, Dave was like, "Oh, your father must be calling. What do I say if he answers?" I told David, "You don't have to worry about that. My father doesn't care enough about to call me. I know I have him under my emergency contact. I realize that's his number." And so David was like, "Well, if your father is your emergency contact, and if he's getting a call that's something serious, like a seizure and a head injury, and they're checking you for all this, you're telling me he wouldn't answer the phone, or he wouldn't find that important?" I said, "No, he probably won't even get the call. No, my father is not calling me after a seizure, so you don't have to worry about that."